Well, good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us. My friend Ellen posted a photo of a beautiful dish, Haluski, in our group the other day, and it just looked so wonderful to me, I wanted to recreate it. So I did some research, and I found dozens of different ways to make it. So I'm going to make for you today a sort of generic Haluski, and you may change it to suit your family's needs. Here are the ingredients. Please pause to write them down. And hey, while you're paused, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want alerts when I post new videos about twice a week, click on the little bell up in the top right. Now let's get cooking. So this is a pretty inexpensive dish. My understanding is it's Polish comfort food. I have a very small head of cabbage here. I have 2 medium-sized onions, some noodles, egg noodles, you can use any kind. I have a cup of butter, and I'm going to use Polska kielbasa. You can use bacon, which I think is more traditional, or you can use no meat at all, or whatever kind of sausage you like. So I start by melting a stick of butter in a cast iron pan, and I'm going to add my onions. And I cut these in the French cut, like you would for French onion soup. And I'm going to cook them until they're golden brown, but I'm not going to caramelize them. I won't cook them quite that long. And I'm going to add a good bit of salt. And I'm going to add a lot of pepper later, but right now I'm just going to add salt. That'll help the onions weep and cook down. And I know that looks like a lot of salt to you. It's about a teaspoonful. But with the onions and the cabbage and the noodles that are in this dish, it takes a good bit of salt. I ended up adding about 2 teaspoons full altogether. And I want to break these onions up. And you see, this is what's called a French cut of the onions. Kind of long and skinny. And I'll cut the cabbage the same way, kind of long slivers. So I'll cook these about 10 minutes and stir them a couple of times until they turn golden brown. Like this. This is about enough. I don't want to caramelize them. I don't want them to cook that long because it's got a good bit of cooking time left. But you can see they're soft, they're brown, and oh my goodness, they smell so good. So now we're ready for the cabbage. And you'll see that I've cut the cabbage in the same kind of long slivers. Now, I'll tell you, I should have used a 12-inch skillet. I forget how much room cabbage takes up, but it will cook down, so it looks like I'm overfilling, and I guess I really am, but they'll cook down to about half this size. And I'm going to steam this all together for a little bit. I'll add about a half cup of water, and then put the lid on, and I'm going to cook this at a medium-low heat. So that's more salt, about another teaspoonful. And then I'm going to grab my little pepper mill here. This dish is very, very peppery, and you can't see it, but I am grinding the pepper. A lot of the flavor comes from the pepper, so don't skimp and really use fresh pepper. And here's the water, about a half a cup. I'm just going to pour that over. And this will, adding it to the heat, it's going to steam this cabbage. And I'll put the lid on it. I'll cook it for about 30 minutes, stirring it about every 10. So it's been about 10 minutes, and you see it's already cooking down a lot. And I'm going to stir this around and get the onions mixed in with the cabbage. I just really can't tell you how great this smells. Fred used to say you could cook cardboard in onions and it would smell good. I'm sorry, some of you don't know. Fred is my late husband, and he's in some of my earlier videos. This is after about 20 minutes. It has cooked down a little bit more. It does smell wonderful, and I'm going to cook it some more. This cabbage is not soft. It's not going to get mushy. It's still going to have some crunch, even cooking it this long. So this is 30 minutes. And see, it's not mush. but it is going to be, oh, I don't know, like al dente pasta. That flavor. Stirring it up a little bit. Now, see, there's still some liquid down in there. I'll do some cooking without the lid to cook some of that off. But I think it's about time to add our Polska kielbasa. And I've just cut this into chunks, sort of on the bias. And I'm going to stick it down in there just a little bit. And I actually have one big chunk I'm going to cook because my great-granddaughter thinks she doesn't want any cabbage. So I'm just going to give her her sausage separately. But she's 4. What does she know? Maybe when she smells it, she'll take a bite. So now we're going to cook this a little bit to cook off some of that liquid. Let this all simmer together and get those flavors to come together. And while this is cooking, I'm going to put on my pasta. And you just want to cook it to package directions. And yes, I'm probably stirring it more than I need to, but I want the meat to go down in there. And I'm cooking this without a lid to cook off some of that excess liquid in the bottom. And I still have to add the pasta, so I really should have used a 12-inch skillet or a Dutch oven. But you know, I like to live dangerously and I hate to switch pans. So we're going to go with this, and I'll just not let it overflow. I will just will it all to stay in the pan. So I'm adding the pasta, just dipping it right out of the water, draining it, and adding it. And I'll stir it around a little, but basically we're going to have like a layer of noodles on top. I have my oven preheating to 350. And this last step is one that not everyone does. Some people do, some don't. But I'm going to add half of that other stick of butter, so I ended up not using it all. And I tasted for salt, and I'm going to add another layer of freshly ground black pepper. And then I'm going to put this in the oven for 30 minutes. And it sort of makes the top noodles a little bit crunchy. It's an optional step. And this is what we have. And I'm going to stir it up a little bit to let you see down in there. This is one of those dishes, you know, I started to make it with red cabbage because it's not a very colorful dish. But oh, I have to tell you, the smell, the aroma is just out of this world. I'm going to plate it up. And here we have it. With the meat, it's a main dish. You can serve it without the meat as a side dish. I love smoked sausage, Polska kielbasa. Let me taste of that first. Yeah, looks good, smells good, tastes good. Now, you know, if you don't like cabbage, this might not be one of your favorite foods, but I love cabbage. And you know, adding those golden onions to the cabbage and simmering them all together. And I'm not a pepper fan, but this needs the black pepper. Let me get a big bite of these veggies and noodles. You know, that's just an outstanding flavor. It is comfort food. Thank you, Ellen, for turning me on to this wonderful dish. My family loved it. I loved it. I hope you love it. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.